Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on the Syrian situation. And this kind of got pushed to the side with all that's happening with the election and the MAGA march. And I did read about it, but I just kind of set it aside. There was so much going on. Um, so apparently, some of the officials have been lying to Trump about the U.S. troop levels in Syria. And that's extremely bad. Extremely. Um, and everybody's doing a video on this today, or a few people are. I think Tim Pool already did one, and then Sticks and Hammer did one today. But Washington Examiner covers some of it. And the Washington Examiner, by the way, not bad. Not a bad news source. President Trump in 2018 ordered the withdrawal of troops from northern Syria, declaring, "We have won against ISIS." The commander of the United States military repeated the order again in 2019. Unelected federal officials decided they knew better. Nameless bureaucrats, won't be nameless for long, who disagreed with Trump's directive simply decided to undermine it first by convincing him to leave behind a residual force, and then by misleading senior officials about the actual number of U.S. troops. Um, he told, according to outgoing Ambassador Jim Jeffrey, the U.S. Special Envoy for Syria, "What Syrian withdrawal?" He told Defense One. "There was never a Syria withdrawal. Who says the deep state is not real?" Um, yeah, I mean, he just openly acknowledges that they misled people about it. Trump agreed to keep several hundred U.S. troops, somewhere between two and 400, stationed in northwest Syria to secure oil fields. It's generally accepted the actual number is now higher than that. Anonymous officials put the number at about 900 today. Very bad for a lot of reasons. Now, the obvious reasons are you're undermining the guy in charge. You know, Trump has to do a lot of different things, including negotiate with other countries. So if he, I don't know, has a deal with the Russians, whether that's an open deal or a secret deal, and some of these are top secret for national security. So say he cuts a deal with the Russians that you can't have more than, I don't know, let's say 2,000 troops in a certain region. And he's counting the troops in Syria. Well, he thinks he has less than 2,000. He breaks this agreement, and the Russians, go to war or attack, or who knows what they'll do. You could end up derailing important things. If these troops were killed, Trump's like, well, this is terrible. Fortunately, we only have about 200 troops. No, sir, we have 1,000 troops. Like, what? That's not good. It undermines him, and you cannot have that in a leadership. You're not doing your job. And in the military, this is the biggest crime of all: not listening to your superior. Now, you should not obey an illegal order, but this was not an illegal order. No. Even if you disagree with it, it's not an illegal order. Having troops there at all might be illegal. I don't know, but having more troops there than the commander in chief wanted, yeah, that's definitely undermining him. That's definitely not an illegal order. That is, all these people should be drummed out of the military, just completely out, dishonorable discharge, and whoever's responsible should be brought up on charges, including this envoy, who apparently thinks it's okay to go out in public and brag about it. Not only that, I mean, you dummy. This is how arrogant these people are. Oh, I'm in the resistance. Oh, you're going to jail. This could be a lot of the reason why Trump is hot to replace everybody at the Pentagon. It may have nothing to do with, a lot of the leftists are like, oh my God, he's replacing all the military heads because it's going to be a coup. No, he's replacing these guys who effed him. They effed him, and now by replacing them, now he can just file charges. It's harder to file charges against, the acting head of the Pentagon, especially when someone from the Pentagon is going to have to investigate them. Now that they're gone, they're cut off of access of information, and then you go after them. Because now they only have the information up to the point of when they were fired. The top secret stuff. But I want to say the even bigger danger here, and I don't want to alarm anybody. And look, I've talked about civil war, and I've used my screenwriting abilities to talk about that, how it might go down. And I've always said there's no military behind the left. But now that we know some people within the military are actively lying to Trump, this is very troubling. Because what else are they lying about? Could they be lying about troop levels somewhere else? Could they be lying about prepping the groundwork for a military coup? Now, I think it's unlikely, but the fact that they would lie to Trump at all and, brag about it is very disturbing. It could mean that there are a handful of people in the military who are like, yeah, if Trump doesn't go, and we think we could do it, we're gonna roll in with the tanks and get him out of there. I mean, this makes, to me, civil war way more possible. Way more possible. I mean, could we see a split in our own military? One side led by Trump and the other side led by essentially the deep state. I don't know. Hopefully, I would think that by Trump replacing all these people with loyalists to him, they're going to go in and root out all these idiots. Just root them out. Destroy their careers. Kick them out. Depower them. Defang them as much as possible. And they should be. This has nothing to do with Trump. This has everything to do with how a military works. You can't have a military say, well, he's not my president. You're going to have a civilian say that. You want to say that all day long, that's fine. If you're in the military, you work for who's ever in charge. That's the whole point. You don't want to do that? Fine. Quit the military. Use whatever legal means to quit the military. And, go to jail if you feel you're that gung-ho about it. But you don't undermine the military from within. That's not going to solve anything. That's making you an enemy. You could kill people. You could end up killing people by doing that. People who had nothing to do with this. We can't have a military that's split. Democrats and Republicans. That ain't gonna work. So, this is very troubling. And if you don't know about this, you should. And this is another reason why. Imagine they did this to Biden. Biden's out to lunch, man. They could lie a lot to Biden. They could lie all day long. How the hell would he know? He wouldn't even check. Because he thinks everybody loves him. He thinks once he gets in, it's all hunky-dory. Even Biden, he thinks he could be in control, but maybe he's not. And he's a weak guy. Let's be honest, man. Biden is just weak. He's too old for this. He looks tired up on the podium giving a speech. How is he going to sit on top of some general who's got a hard-on to invade Syria or invade Iraq or invade Iran or start a war? How's he going to sit on a guy like General Patton? Remember him? He wanted to gin up a war with the Ruskies back in the Cold War era at the end of World War II, and they were just like, no, George. That's the movie version. So, I don't see a guy like Biden sitting back and saying, I see him like, okay, all right, General, if that's what you want. I don't see him bossing a general around. If anything, he's a warmonger anyway, so he'd be all about it. But, that could just make it all 1,000 times worse. I mean, there are generals in our army who think they can beat the Russians. That, you know, back in the Cold War days, they'd talk about, no, 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 we could beat them. With a first strike, we could beat them. I mean, they're crazy. I get it. They got to have contingency plans, and you know, if we had to, for some reason, launch a first strike against the Soviets, it would be good to have the plan ready. But you know, these guys would tout it like, "Oh yeah, 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 we could win." And I don't think a win in a nuclear war is going to be much of a win. I think millions and millions of people will die, and what'll be left won't be really worth fighting for. Not really. Um, you know, I don't even know if you'll want to be alive. So we have to watch these guys. We got to watch them like hawks. Whether I think Trump's going to get in, and I hope he just crushes these guys. I hope he goes in there and, like he promised, drain the swamp. But if the worst does happen, we got to be on top of this. We got to beat the Bushes. We're going to have to. I think the number one priority, if Biden gets in, is to replace the media.